So I'm Arielle here at Special Collections and Archives located in Library South, second floor, and we're here to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Viva Latinoamerica! Viva Cal State L.A. And just wanted to showcase, due to the occasion, our Mesoamerican and Colonial Mexico collection. As a graduate student in Latin American Studies, this is very relevant to my thesis studying the political, social relations of the power of the press and the government in Mexico. And I'm really excited to be looking at these books with all of you as they are first-hand accounts of primary resources. Without further ado, let's just dive in. So this first book is great. This is a book from 1905, so roughly studying the period that I'm looking at, which is Porfirio Díaz, Papeles de Nueva España, segunda serie, Geografía y Estadística. Nueva España was New Spain. After the Spanish came and conquered what was Tenochtitlan, New Spain was a territory that was conquered by Hernán Cortés and his men, and it is what we now know as Mexico. And this book highlights the kind of statistical, geographical analysis, and it's interesting because it was a marriage between Spain and Mexico, wanting to know the geographic, statistical kind of means and functions of the population. And it was also sponsored by both governments, which is interesting. This book, Colección de Documentos para la Historia de México, is also very comprehensive in the collection of different documents regarding the history and conquest of Mexico. And this one's a gem because it's from 1858, so before the Mexican Revolution and a few hundred years after the conquest. So continuing on our same Mesoamerican and Colonial Mexico collection, we're moving to our glass collection. And this particular book, La Historia de la Fundación y Discurso de la Provincia de Santiago de México de la Orden de Predicadores, or the history and foundation through discourse of the province of Santiago of Mexico through the order of priests, discusses the kind of like religious conquest of Mexico and the discourse that surrounded that. And this is a really interesting find because it's a great collection that's also indicative of that time. So I pulled some more books for you guys to see and celebrate. So we're going to be looking at the printing press in Mexico. The conquest was in 1519. In 1539, there was a printing press, the first in North America, which is significant because it was 20 years after the conquest. And so we're here to celebrate that bibliography and that printing press. So this book was printed for the purpose of showing the bibliography that was produced in the 16th century in Mexico. And this book covers 1539 to 1600 with different biographies of different authors and other illustrations. And this is significant because it's telling of the technological advancement of that time, and also the significance of the printing press in Mexico and the evangelization of this mass technology to produce these books and this bibliography that really speaks volumes to that time and the period and what was being produced and why. So we have the Spanish Inquisition at this time, and they were the ones kind of controlling the means of what was being produced. And if the printers were to produce something that was heretical or not religious or not under the Catholic crown, they were met with censorship, which isn't fun. So you would go up against the Spanish crown and the Inquisition, and you would have to defend your case. And it happened to a few different printers, which is interesting. What my thesis speaks to is women printers in New Spain, and it's kind of not a well-known topic in history. And basically these women took hold of these different printing presses, and they would sign like La Viuda de, or the widow of, and they would take on, these widows would take on the role of printing and everything that entailed. So printing, binding, sometimes editing. And so that was significant because this was during the colonial period. So it's kind of fun to see the participation and significant role that women played that's kind of understated in history. But we're excited to bring it to the forefront and show you all these books, the printing press, and women in the printing press. A lot of these books are very rare and special here at Special Collections because they were printed with red ink. This one is especially significant because red ink was very hard to come by. So the fact that we have received this book with the red ink makes it kind of a gem. And so basically the book kind of highlights the different printing presses. It goes by year. It highlights every book that was printed in the 16th century, which is pretty significant, and you see kind of a kind of pattern of religious books. And also, interestingly enough, some books were published in Nahuatl or Huasteca, which is also intriguing because the Spaniards at that time were trying to colonize, changing the ethnic makeup of Mexico. So to print in a native language was also very risky because the Santo Oficio and the Inquisition would really, or the Spanish crown would really kind of bog down on these printers and try them in court. The Catholicism was a motivator of the different printing presses to print and to kind of spread Catholicism, so we can see the evangelization here. And then here we have a music piece, and this was also printed in Mexico, and you can find this in La Biblioteca Nacional de Mexico. And so what's cool about these books is they really cite the primary sources, so you can go to that archive and find it. But we have it here in this archive, so you can reference it and kind of consult with the different sources. This book is just giving a nice overview of the period and of that time, and we're lucky that we have it here in special collections for those of you who are interested in history of the book, visual cultures in Latin America, or just are curious. Come take a look. So thanks for watching. Remember, you can come and check out these materials for yourself, located here at Special Collections and Archives, Library South, 2nd floor, and wishing you happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Bye! Adios!